Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Ben. How are you guys doing today? And what I have for you today in this video is just give you guys my thoughts about Apple's WWDC event, where they announced like tons of stuff. They announced the macOS High Sierra 10.13. They announced iOS 11. They also announced some new Mac lineups as well, with the KB-Link Intel processors and the new iMac Pro, which is basically like a very powerful desktop tower built into an all-in-one computer. But we're going to get to that. And of course, Apple announced the HomePod as well, and the watchOS update with some Apple Pay updates as well. But that's like integrated in between the operating systems. So I mean, I don't even know where to start, because I mean, this event, like, I feel like maybe I might have like thoughts like all over the place. I mean, like, with the Mac lineup taking the KB-Link Intel processors, I mean, they're definitely getting up there. Not only that, but they cut down the price for the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar as well. And me personally, the MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar, I would not even purchase myself. Well, maybe as of right now, until it starts growing on me, because like the lack of ports. I mean, I'm on a mid 2010 MacBook Pro right now. I mean, I bought this thing used, and you know, I'm still utilizing all my ports right here, and I just couldn't see myself putting in like an adapter and then like have the extra ports that I'm gonna need with the SD card slot. But then again, the idea might have to grow on me a little bit. But I mean, if you guys have been subscribed to me for a while, you'll know how I feel about Apple, that they're like trying to make changes a little too soon, but they haven't stopped doing it because they're confident that this is the what we're going to be. This is how we're going to operate our devices, basically, our technology for the years to come. And I mean, if this is their view, and I mean, they have to start somewhere. They have to test it. Now, I'm just question if they're doing it like a little bit too much, or maybe they're just starting. I don't know. This is just me, but then again, their ideas just has to grow on me a little bit. Other than that, I mean, the Mac lineup definitely got some upgrades. The iMac Pro, I'm just trying to figure out, like, I mean, it's a beautiful machine, but it's like, that's kind of like the Mac Pro, but in the all-in-one casing, or in the all-in-one chassis. Not exactly spec'd as the Mac Pro out there, but I was thinking that maybe they were going to upgrade the Mac Pro at some point, because I heard that the upgrades were kind of stalled. And if they are stalled, then they're even stalled longer. I don't know if they're going to look into upgrading that within the fall. Some people were pushing rumors out there that they're going to go back to the first generation Mac Pro design, or do something similar where you have the old tower to customize your configuration, put in as many hard drives as you like, swap out graphics cards if you like, swap out the RAM if you like. Now, I mean, I heard rumors that Apple was going to go back to that design, because now the Mac Pro is just the shape of a little cylinder, and you can hardly customize anything like that. I mean, it looks nice. You can actually put that on your desk, depending on how big your desk is. I don't know how much space it'll take up, but I mean, I know there are some people out there who miss customizing their configurations. Therefore, some people are still on the first generation Mac Pro, believe it or not, in terms of the hardware design. So I mean, I was a little surprised that hasn't gotten upgraded at least, or that Apple hasn't announced like a new generation. But then again, we just have to see in the future, because they're probably going to do it at some point. It may just take them a little bit longer. So I mean, other than that, I mean, that's like the Mac lineup right there. Upgraded processors, cheaper price for starting on the MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, and then you got the upgraded iMacs and the iMac Pro. macOS High Sierra I mean, there's definitely some enhancements into that operating system upgrade, and we just have to see how it applies and makes everybody's lives easier. But pretty much, Apple's updates are pretty standard. Still learning the Mac lineup myself here. I'm currently running on a macOS Sierra. I'll have to check to see if my machine is upgradable. If not, then that's it for me. But I mean, this thing's running great. I mean, I have an SSD right here from Crucial. It's running a lot faster than when I originally bought this with the 5400 RPM hard drive. It was just a little too slow. First generation i7, but when I put the SSD right there, it just loads files or applications just like that. Now, iOS 11, just by looking at the changes that Apple has made, and the issue is I haven't used the iOS on the newer devices since the iPhone 5, so I am outdated. My next phone may be looking into an iPhone, just to get used to it, and then again, and just try to keep up with the iOS ecosystem while I try to do Android at the same time. So I'm thinking every time if I want a new phone, I may switch to the others. So in this case, I used Android for that was a piece of envelope right there. I used Android for the last 2 years, and if I do want to get an iPhone one day, then switch to that. And then if I want to get rid of my iPhone or stop using my iPhone as my full-time phone, then go back to Android. So I could switch back and forth to get used to both platforms. That is just my idea. iOS 11, after seeing some of the updates, I mean, I feel like it'll make iOS a little bit more useful than what I'm used to before. That made me led to switching over to Android. So I would say Apple is trying to keep up, and I'll just have to see how their widget system works. I mean, I know they implemented that like a while ago, but obviously because I haven't been on iOS for a while, I mean, my iPhone 5 is pretty much nothing at this point, and it's not keeping up with the latest features out there, because I don't believe that I see a lot of those features on the iPhone 5 with iOS 10 right now, because a lot of the features aren't supported on that kind of hardware. It's outdated now, which is why it's not getting the iOS 11 upgrade. So, I mean, other than that, there were other stuff that Apple has announced as well, such as the HomePod. Very nice speaker, but then again, I haven't used the Amazon Echo at all, so my thoughts on that are still on stall right now. But I mean, if I do get around to playing around with it, then I'll start developing thoughts right there to see how it goes. But other than that, I mean, Apple's event, I'd say, like usual, is pretty straightforward. They're definitely making progress out there, and no matter what I say and no matter what anybody says, if it comes to negative feedback on Apple, they're always going to innovate, and they just keep progressing. I mean, people are buying iPhones all day long, and they're selling billions or trillions of iPhones each year, and they're just continuing to grow. And obviously with Apple, they're able to keep track of the updated software or not. I mean, they're able to keep track of it since they're the ones that control the software. They're the only ones that distribute iOS and macOS. They're the only ones that distribute their hardware. Whereas you have Android, it's distributed by all these manufacturers, and because of that, some of the hardwares that are built are not compatible at some point with the newest software. Therefore, that's why their number drops with the amount of devices that is upgradable, and the ones that are most likely upgradable are the ones in the Nexus lineup by Google. And the same can be said for Microsoft as well with Windows, because again, made by different manufacturers, and some can get the latest updates right there, but it's even harder to keep track of which ones are compatible, and maybe that's why those sales are not as high as what they used to be. I mean, people are still buying PCs all day long, don't get me wrong, but it may not be like what it was back then, and Apple is starting to keep up. People are starting to get into the Mac ecosystem, so either way, everyone's growing. Everyone just has a different way of growing their own company, growing their sales. I mean, I was actually pretty interested in this event. The last couple of events, like, was okay for me because I just started losing interest in Apple. But it's starting to kick back up again. But I mean, as of now, I would say some of my thoughts still hasn't changed. But that doesn't mean like I'm not willing to learn Apple again. No, I mean, I'll do what I can. I like to learn cross platforms. That's why I like to jump back and forth. So, what do you guys think about Apple's event last week? I mean, what was your favorite thing that they announced? And do you feel like Apple's going in the right direction? Do you feel like they're going in the wrong direction? Do you like Apple? Do you hate Apple? What do you think about the iMac Pro? Extreme? Necessary or unnecessary? I mean, leave a comment down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment. Also, check out the description below for my social media links, Twitter and Instagram. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.